2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going on about a 2019 film that was streamed onto Netflix, and we just so happened to watch it this morning. Well, I did. This is my first time watching this film. It's called Eli. And the film is directed by Ciarán Foy. And it's written by David Churchirillo, Ian Goldberg, and Richard Nang. Let me just say what IMDb says about the film, and then we'll go into our first impressions here.
Okay.
So, a boy received treatment for his autoimmune disorder, discovers that the house he's living in isn't as safe as he thought. I guess I should probably say that the film stars Charlie Shotwell as Eli, Kelly Riley as Rose, Max Martini as Paul, and Lily Taylor as Dr. Horn. Lily Taylor we have well known from the Haunting remake. From the year 1999. So seeing her in another mansion is not too unheard of. So why don't you, Boris, tell me, and welcome back to the show, by the way.
I'm sorry, what happened?
I said welcome back to the show, by the way.
Oh, thank you, but what, did my connection break or something?
Not that I'm not sure. I was asking you, what was your first impression?
Oh, yeah, well, I saw this movie for the first time a few days ago, and now once again with you, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It's very suspenseful from the beginning to the end, and it has a great twist, which is what actually makes it the kind of movie that we are doing these days. Actually, that fact in itself is a bit of a spoiler, which I happen to know before I suggested this movie to you. It was a friend who told me I should watch it because she knows I like these movies with devils, demons, and stuff like that. Now, like I said, she spoiled it a bit for me by revealing that detail, but on the other hand, if it wasn't for that, I would have probably never discovered the movie to begin with. So yeah, it was definitely very good and with a very cool plot twist near the end and some very interesting background details that you can notice while watching it for the second time. So yeah, it's really cool.
Okay. This was my first time watching it, and I thought it was pretty well put together. Apparently, this movie had like mixed reviews because of the slow pacing and whatnot, but I didn't find it as slow as like some films that I've come across. I mean, yeah, it was a little slow, but you had to tell a story to even begin with, and I liked that about the film. I mean, you got this little boy who apparently is allergic to everything outside of his bubble.
Or so it seems.
He's kind of a bubble boy growing up, so he hasn't really like been outside or anything like that. And I guess he's on his way to a treatment center to get better and whatnot. And that's pretty much the plot point of the story. But before we get into the plot, let's talk about some of the characters. What do you think about Eli as a character?
He is, well, he is the main character, so of course he has to be the most interesting one. Well, I guess like most people, I pretty much felt sorry for him from the beginning to the end. But I also liked the fact that he, how do I say it, that he doesn't give in too easily when they try to persuade him that he is wrong. He persistently stands his ground and does everything he can to convince the others that he isn't in fact wrong about what's happening around him. So his strength of will was something I found quite intriguing about his character.
Okay. I very much thought that his strength of will was kind of impressive too. I I think if any child of his age were to be put in this kind of a situation, um, he did the best to his ability to deal with the situation because, for all intents and purposes, he thought that he was sick, that he had some incurable disease or something like that, and to all intents and purposes for the audience, we saw his face get bloated, his skin would turn like a violent red, it would like turn into some kind of like sickly red like welt like stuff on his arms and legs and face,
Yeah.
Specifically his arms and his face. I don't think we really saw his legs or anything like that. We just but whenever he would go outside in a hazmat suit of some sort. And we get a sense that, people aren't exactly accepting of this particular disease because there seems to be a group of guys that that apparently they've been staying in a hotel and which they can't really afford, and when they leave, there's a group of guys who seem to do all kinds of teasing.
Yeah, I found that scene somewhat shocking, I must say, because, well, I don't know what it's like in your country, although I did hear some stories that bullying coming from adults is not that uncommon where you live, but here where I live, it usually happens among children and so on, but people usually grow out of it, and adults usually don't do that. So it was, to me, it was somewhat bizarre to see adult men acting like that with a child with some health conditions. So,
Well, with the parents actually there too. I mean that's something that's kind of rare that you see. Although we had a group of kids who used to play like in our parking lot, and we were concerned about the vehicles, especially since our vehicles were like sitting there. I mean, it just takes like a moment for something to happen and then something break on your vehicle. So we said something to them. Well, one of them decided to retaliate and like spew some sailor language that he must have learned from the streets or something like that. But and I know I swear a lot. A lot. Sometimes I even swear on here. So, but the thing is, bullying does happen, and I think that child was trying to, talk back, and it reminds me of what when I was younger, and I know that I've been bullied myself, so I remember certain situations. But
Same here.
in any case, moving on after that, they apparently travel to what looks like a mansion, and the thing about this mansion is it looks amazing from the outside. I wish I knew the location of this mansion, but IMDb nor Wikipedia tells me what location they use for this particular place. But it has like a circular drive. It looks like.
Yeah, it looks very cool indeed.
And when they pull up and they go to the front door, they either buzz a doorbell or something like that, and suddenly someone speaks to them and tells them that in order to get in or out of the house, that they have to be decontaminated. So there's this room that is in the front foyer of this place, that apparently it decontaminates you as you come in, and to even get into the place. So what do you?
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I found that rather interesting. I mean, on the outside, the mansion looks maybe a bit old, kind of like a haunted house thing. It doesn't make you expect all that modern technology and stuff inside.
No, it definitely does not. It definitely looks like it's an older house, or older mansion at least on the inside side, because it's got certain aspects of it on the inside side that make it look like it's older, but we don't know how old because they don't tell us. But I guess, what do you think about Eli's parents?
Well, I kind of have mixed feelings about them. I mean, in a way, to an extent, you can understand them, but then again, okay, spoiler alert, uh, we know what his father, or who we thought was his father, tried to do to him near the end, which I think is beyond all justification. So yeah, I can somewhat understand why they didn't tell him the truth from the beginning, but the way they try to handle things near the end wasn't very good, I'd say. Although I guess the mother somewhat made things right when she confessed everything, but the father was still on the doctor's side and tried to help kill the boy, so I cannot justify him.
Not entirely, no, but I understand where he was coming from. Once I knew the secret, once I knew what they were trying to prevent, they were trying to cleanse. Well, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because we will probably spoil the shit out of this movie, ladies and gentlemen, before we're done. But we think that he's going to get this treatment that is done in 3 stages, that will cure him. And in the very beginning, we think that this lady has cured others of ailments. Well, somewhere in between, we find out from the spirits of the spirits of the past patients, I believe.
Yes.
We find out that they were all not cured.
Definitely not.
And this was definitely a lie that he was being told, so to speak. But what do you think about the doctor?
Honestly, by the end of the movie, I was left thinking, if this is what God's people do, like murder children, then I'd rather side with the devil. I,
But what do you
oh,
do in this kind of the situation? I mean, wouldn't you rather fight good versus evil? I mean, if you found out that your child was born from the devil, and you were promised that he would not turn out like him, and yet he did, what would you do?
well, I would definitely try all possible options before thinking of trying to kill a child. I mean, it's still a child and it's not his fault that he is what he is. He didn't choose to be what he is. And I think what I would try to do would be let him know who he is, but tell him that he has a choice, that even if he may have some powers, he can still choose to use them for something good, not for something bad.
I'm not entirely sure that the mother herself knew the full extent of how, like that she could lose her child to this. Um,
From what I understood, no, she didn't know she could lose him. She thought this treatment would cure him, but
mhm.
the father, maybe he also thought so at the beginning, but later on he realized that there was a possibility of him dying, but it didn't make him decide to stop it all.
No, it didn't. And I remember this actor who played his father from um, before this. I remembered him specifically from, I believe, The Purge, the series.
Oh, I haven't seen that, I think.
But at least I remember him from that particular series. So seeing him a little bit more human, because I do like the moment where he sits down and talks about apparently a puppy dog that they had taken to a meadow. So you can see that he does love him,
In a way, yeah, I guess.
but he's doing it for the wrong reasons of love. I think he. It's not that I think that he's duped. I think he's very strong in his beliefs of goodness, that he thinks that there's a way to save him from this malady. And I think they were kind of treating it like it was a disease. And what do you think about the doctor's nurses?
Well, I guess they were just minions. There wasn't much to really think about them, I guess. They were doing what they thought they had to do, and I guess that's all there is to them.
What did you think about? Well, I thought they were kind of cold and calculative, and they seem like they were very rude to him, to
Oh,
Eli,
oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
because the one nurse was more or less was like, "What do you think happened to the boy that kept asking questions?"
Oh, yeah, yeah. Now that moment kind of pissed me off. I forgot that.
um, well, we after Eli and his mother and father are brought into this mansion now turned lab, I guess you could call it that. It is kind of a lab because but it's like a home too, because it's got rooms that are set up for people to sleep in, and there are no locks on. Well, there might be locks on the doors, but it's more of a welcoming environment than anything else, because he's brought to his own room, and I guess what happens in that room that night.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. In which room?
In Eli's room, the first night,
Ah,
what
I.
happens?
Yeah, he starts seeing ghosts. I think it was the ghost of the female patient who died. Uh,
Well, what he sees is breath on his window, and you can see that his breath is cold. And
oh
I
yeah, and there was that insect there too.
yes, there was that insect, but also three lines showed up in the um,
I yeah, as if someone was scratching the glass or something like that.
correct, like someone had clawed the fog.
Yeah.
And I guess this scared him enough to go to his parents' room and sleep that night. Um, uh, what did you think about that whole scene? Did that particular part frighten you, or uh, have you on edge, or what?
Well, when I was that age, yeah, it would have scared the living crap out of me.
My bet too. I mean, if I was that age, I mean, if you're that young, you perceive things a little bit more strongly. I would imagine,
Yeah, definitely.
and especially if he hasn't really been anywhere or done anything his entire life. I mean, these are the first things that he's experiencing outside of his hazmat suit. So,
Indeed. I mean, now as an adult, if I saw something that looks like a supernatural phenomenon, I would probably be like, okay, wait, what's going on here? I would have looked around and try to find a reasonable explanation, but not as a kid. Uh,
so one of the things that you said you noticed is that there were some infrared crosses on the window frames.
Yeah, like if you pay attention to background details, you can see. Well, it's not directly as if they had ornaments shaped like crosses or inverted crosses, but yeah, the window frames and one part of the door frame and things like that. If you pay attention to such details, sometimes you can see some parts of it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to express it properly in English, but the way some pieces of it are put together resembles sometimes a regular cross, sometimes an inverted cross. And there is even a biblical quote shortly after the beginning on a billboard or something like that.
Okay. And also, there is a young girl that they pass on the way to the mansion that apparently has a play in this film as well. She seems to appear to Eli alone, where she throws pebbles at his window, and he ends up going to a specific area of the mansion where he's able to talk to her, evidently. Like a gazebo, like a glass gazebo that's part of the mansion or whatnot. And I guess the first time, I guess he tries to show her a magic trick, and she shows him one back, and it's kind of cute because it seems like they're about the same age and whatnot. And, she appears to him a couple of times, and I guess we find out that she is in fact a sibling of his, but we don't realize that until like later.
Yeah, until near the end.
But there it is, in a sense, in essence, this is a supernatural thriller because
Definitely.
because apparently he is being told things by people. Well, I guess one of the meetings that he has with Haley, which I believe that's what her name is.
Yeah.
She tells him about the previous boy who was here, Perry.
Exactly.
Apparently, he had spoken to spirits or had been haunted by spirits before. But you know, it was after he had the third treatment, supposedly, she never saw him anymore. And none his parents didn't believe him. And so I guess one of the spirits decided to scratch on a closet door after shaking the closet that he was in, the wardrobe. Apparently, this was a wardrobe that was big enough for him to fit in, and apparently, it shook it enough for it to fall to the floor. And he opened up the door, and on the door was scratched Eli over and over and over. To the fact that he thinks that he is being lied to.
Indeed, I found that one of the most brilliant details of the movie. I mean, they chose a name for the character that happens to be an anagram of the word lie, but at the same time, those three letters resemble the numbers. When you turn it upside down, they resemble the numbers 317, which happens to be the passcode for this office or whatever that room was.
This area in which not only Dr. Thorne, Dr.
Horn.
Dr. Horn, played by Lily Taylor, slept, as well as the lab in which he was was having the procedures done. And he finds the files in which they all died, and then of course when he tries to tell his parents and all that, he runs into Dr. Horn's room, and the fly or bug leads him to the hidden door, which leads to like a long stone staircase to an even older looking area where an altar is placed, where there appears to be a tomb, not unlike that of like the well from an earlier Japanese movie that you know well.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I was reminded of it as well. No pun intended.
And I guess he gets locked down there, and then he wakes up and realizes that he can actually breathe and touch the dirt and all that jazz. And I guess his mother comes down. He hits her over the head with a cross, and he runs upstairs. He is surrounded by the nurses and the doctor and his father, and they basically bind him up onto the table, and I guess she starts some kind of a ceremony. Lifts the knife, and about when she's about to plunge it into his chest, it stops, and we see that it stops because he has used some power to stop it. What do you think about this whole scenario here?
Well, yeah, that's where we discover the main plot twist of the story, that the sickness is actually what he experienced as sickness were moments when his demonic powers were kicking in and developing and so on. And the third treatment was actually a ritual that was, if I understood correctly, either supposed to exorcise the demonic forces out of him or kill him, as it happened with the other patients. But as Haley said, he was stronger than the others, so he managed to break free, and it was definitely the most interesting and the most impacting moment of the movie, when he set Dr. Horn and the nurses on fire, and when he was telekinetically controlling them, and they were flying around the room all upside down with
that was weird.
Arms spread, and they all looked like inverted crosses. It was amazing.
That was really cool. That was like the best part of the movie, I think. I think, to be honest. Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, some of the like spiritual happenings that they showed, those were kind of cool, but where it seemed like they only showed up in the mirrors. But I thought that whole scene was pretty well done. I mean, he floated them up, and then they traveled around him, and then they turned upside down. Their arms were like crosses, and then suddenly he burst them into flame when he was angry, because he was questioning his mother, and she basically told him that she at first turned to God. When he didn't answer, she turned to the devil, apparently to have a child.
Indeed.
And he promised her that he would not be like him. Well, he lied. Of course, he is the father of lies, which is kind of funny. This movie was all about Eli's. So,
Indeed.
but one thing I wanted to say about this is that apparently Paramount didn't know how to market this film. Because they couldn't figure out how to market this film. How the hell do you figure? I mean, it's a horror film. It's a demonic film. You market it like a horror thriller. Jesus Christ! I mean, and then Netflix bought the rights to it, and I guess that's why you've got the Paramount Pictures and Paramount Partners in front of this film. I also noticed that MTV it was somewhat behind this film as well. So
yeah, honestly, the first time I was watching it at the beginning, I was like, will you already quit the logos and start the movie?
But Netflix gave this a home, but it has not had a physical form yet, and I hope that it does get a physical release, because this is a pretty good release, I thought, for Netflix. I thought it was pretty well done, and I thought it was very well set up for a possible sequel.
I would definitely love a sequel to this.
Because we get the whole idea that Haley is in fact a sibling and shows her powers, and she's like, well, do you want to meet him, your dad? And I guess the mother is kept alive to drive them there. So
yeah, it kind of leaves us wondering where the hell she was taking them.
Correct. Now, there was a slow pacing, but I do like the fact that it was slow enough to show us like different parts of the house, like some of the parts where the doctor said that they were unclean, that were behind like partitions of glass.
Oh.
I wouldn't have minded seeing some of those other wings of the mansion, the shut down parts,
Definitely.
I did think that a whole art altar thing with the circular tomb, that was kind of cool. It had like some kind of symbolism on it.
Yeah, it had a very interesting symbol. I actually wonder if that symbol exists anywhere outside this movie. Like the top of it looks like a pentagram, but the bottom of it looks like three crosses. It's an interesting symbol.
Yes, and I thought that cross that turned into the dagger, that was kind of cool.
Oh, indeed.
For the ceremony that happened after that, and I did think that the nurses did look more like nuns than anything else. So when he came across that picture of all those nuns and whatnot in Dr. Horn's room, I wasn't surprised that she was some kind of Catholic nun. Maybe it was more. And he asked what was in the treatment, and it was just holy water, supposedly.
Oh, Oh, and they also mentioned the tennis route, which is probably a reference to the movie Rosemary's Baby, which, funnily enough, the mother there was named Rosemary, and this one was named Rose. So
What's
that's probably.
What's also interesting is in the original The Mummy from 1930s. The whole reason how they brought the mummy to life was by burning tanna leaves,
Who?
which I thought was interesting. Tanna leaves. I wonder if they're similar.
Yeah, I looked up tennis route, but from what I understood, someone on some forum or something like that said it was a fictional plant.
Okay.
I don't I don't know if that's true, but that's what I read.
Hmm. Well, regardless, Tana, it kind of sounds similar. So I wonder if they were kind of thinking of that. Because to me, I thought of that when I heard the Tanis root. And I was like, well, I've heard that word before, just not quite like that. So, in any case, alrighty. So, what did you think about the production of the film? Do you think that they, uh, if they were in a studio or did use the inside of that place, um, do you think it made it look like they had a pretty good set design?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. They paid a lot of attention to the background details and stuff like that. As I already mentioned, the crosses you can see in the background if you look closely. Then the biblical quote, okay, that wasn't in the mansion, but still it was in the movie, and you could notice it. And details like that. I was even left wondering if the number 317 may have some meaning, maybe a biblical reference or something like that. I was actually going to check in the Bible if the reference 317 or 317 in any book of the Bible shows anything that might relate to this movie. I'm going to check it out later.
I'll tell you one thing. There
Uh,
was one moment where I had to look away. It's when they shaved his head and drilled into his brain. It's
oh,
it's anytime they have anything to do with drilling into the brain. And I can, if I can hear the crunching of the drill going into that brain, that really makes me turn my head and like look away. It's not that it's scary or anything. I just don't like hearing that sound.
uh, actually, I understand you perfectly. I have a similar effect with some similar things in movies. But yeah, actually, I found that moment interesting because
Like
uh,
anytime they like draw a circle on the skull and then you hear them uh you know hear the darn thing going into the skull. Ooh, it just yeah.
I understand you.
But you were saying?
Oh, I was saying I was left wondering if when they were cutting his hair off, if that was possibly a reference to the Omen when Robert was cutting Damien's hair to find his 666 birthmark.
I almost wondered if they were giving him a lobotomy, but
Yeah.
because a lobotomy is where they take an instrument and they tap you on they take an instrument and they poke it in the top of the head, and then they poke it inside your ears, and it's a specific instrument that goes to specific areas of the brain, and then it turns you into kind of like a living zombie, like a living vegetable, and that's what they used to do to patients back in the day. All the crazy people, the ones that that would talk to themselves and shit. Well, that's what they would do to you.
That's nasty.
Well, so is mummification, but in any case. But in any case, did you have any particular? Oh, what did you think about the music of the film?
Well, there was usual background music. I didn't pay attention to anything in particular, but it sounded fitting as far as I could tell.
The music was done by Bear McCreary. He's done. Well, recently he did God of War Ragnarok, the video game, but I guess he. I remember him doing a lot of music for a lot of good movies. Okay, so he did the music for Battlestar Galactica: The Resistance. He did the music for the movie Rest Stop. He did the music for the movie Wrong Turn 2. He did the music for Battlestar Galactica Razor, the TV movie. The Phenomenon, Revealed, Rest Stop, Don't Look Back. Let's see. A lot of Battlestar Galactica. 71 episodes of it. He did a lot of the music for Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, the TV series. Let's see. Empire State, Dark Void, the video game, the movie Step Up. Oh, he did some music for the Angry Video Game Nerd, the TV series. He did the music for the TV show The Cape. He did music for the anthology segment Zombie Movie, Chillerama, which we can check out one of these days. Chillerama is a pretty good anthology. Let's see. Everly? We did Everly,
yeah.
didn't we?
Yes.
He did the music for that. He did music for The Boy, music for The Forest, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Let's see. He did the music for Happy Death Day. Let's see. I Still See You, Hellfest. The Professor and the Madman, Rim of the World, Godzilla King of the Monsters, the remake of the Child's Play. After this, he did Fantasy Island, Ava, The Babysitter Killer Queen, the sequel to The Babysitter on Netflix.
Oh yeah, I saw those.
And a movie called The Dark Tower, a TV movie.
Ooh.
So, in any case, let's see. How about telling me if you had a favorite scene from this movie?
It would probably be the culmination scene when we discover the entire truth and when Eli goes crazy and sets those bad guys on fire and so on. That was the best scene. What do you think?
I would like to think so. I mean that whole scene that's like the scene you're waiting for, the scene that it's culminating to. I mean, it was all cool when it started. I mean, you don't expect him to float them up and circle them around and blaze them on fire and you know
Definitely.
it's definitely an interesting scene, and then the fact that he leaves her alive, his mother, to I guess help him or whatnot.
Yeah, I think he left her alive because she told him the truth while the others were lying to him until the end and trying to kill him and so on. And she was actually the only one who was trying to save him and who was strongly opposing the idea of killing him. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, and um, did you like the reveal?
Yes, yes, I did.
I liked it too. I mean, I don't know what it is about devilish type things where you find out that he's really a child of the devil and whatnot. I thought that was, and the fact that evil was allowed to prevail instead of good. I don't know why, but for some reason, sometimes you kind of want to see what happens when evil does prevail. Sometimes.
Indeed. Yeah, although, yes.
Oftentimes, it's the shoe is on the other foot, and goodness, the good outweighs the evil, or the good wins against the evil. It was different this time.
Yeah, well, to me personally, this movie is kind of something, a story that can make you question what is really good and what is evil to begin with, especially if you compare it to the previous one we were discussing, The End of Days, where some of those priests wanted to kill Christie because she was supposed to have a child of the devil, and some of them were trying to kill her to prevent that from happening. But then there was that main priest or the pope or whoever he was who said, "No, we mustn't kill an innocent person. You can't beat evil by doing evil." So. If you look at it that way, then in this story, trying to kill Eli also wasn't justified.
Maybe not, but I guess it depends on what he did before or what he could become. You know, is he in fact evil enough to smite from this earth? Would he in fact go on killing after this? You don't know what he will have, what he will be able to do, and that's that what if thing that I think that our country would have if there was some kind of like race of aliens that like suddenly came down to Earth. Don't you think our government would be like all around it, and probably there would be some that would probably want to kill it because just because. Because if there's one, there's going to be more.
Yeah, but also I think we should pay attention to the fact that Eli didn't really kill anyone who didn't attack him. All the killings he did were in self-defense.
That may be, but we don't know what he will do from here on forward.
I guess.
I mean, here the people may have deserved punishment, but not death. I'm not exactly sure I totally believe in the death penalty.
No, actually, I don't approve of death penalty either for multiple reasons. Mainly because if you really want to punish someone, you don't do it by killing them, because if they are dead, they're no longer feeling anything. So you're not essentially punishing.
Although, what do you do about people like Dahmer?
Like who?
Like Jeffrey Dahmer.
I'm sorry, I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Jeffrey Dahmer is?
No, sorry.
He was a man who, when they found him, they found all kinds of male genitalia in his grandmother's basement, and he had killed many young men here in Wisconsin. When he was put in prison, it wasn't long after he was put in prison that someone killed him in jail. But Dahmer, there was a lot of deaths because of him. And a lot of people believe he was an evil person. What kind of, if that kind of person were involved in this movie, what would you say?
I would say put him in jail if necessary, even for the rest of his life. But if you kill him, the ones who will suffer will be his family, who probably, if he does have any family, they probably love him no matter what. And if he is killed, then he won't feel any consequences of his actions anymore. And the ones who will suffer will be that family who did nothing wrong. So
we'll have to cover some of the serial killer movies that are out there.
We could.
Dahmer and Raising Jeffrey Dahmer are two that come to mind, and maybe My Friend Jeffrey Dahmer, or My Friend Dahmer, I think the name of the film is.
They made so many movies about him.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, yeah, I wasn't familiar with him, I guess, because I don't usually do research on real life psychos.
He's from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Oh, the same town you are from, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But in any case, other than that, what did you think of the film? Did you think it was pretty good?
Yes, I definitely think it was good, and I really hope, since it's a relatively new movie, I hope they make a sequel, because the story is really calling for it. And it would definitely be exciting to see what happens next.
Oh yeah, I would definitely look forward to a sequel coming from this film. I thought this film was pretty decent. I mean, it's worth it to watch to its very end. I thought that it was a good reveal. So,
Definitely.
in any case, thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, and morning wherever you are. Thank you for
Yeah, thank you all.
thank you for watching, and hopefully you watch out for Eli. I mean, he could be your next door neighbor for all. You don't know what he's
Yeah.
capable of.
Yeah, just don't hurt him, and he probably won't hurt you.
Yeah, don't piss him off.